In 2024, are leather titles still needed? What purpose do they serve? Is competing and winning a leather title the new way to get clout, whether you have a rep or not? Having done little or no work within the GLBT leather community, and although having a certain look has always been a part of beauty contests, leather contests, is it enough? Hi, I'm Sir Raven. This is BLX, a channel where I explore the Black and Brown LGBTQIA plus leather BDSM kink community. I also talk about wellness through different mediums, being a solopreneur, and moving through my crone years. If you are so moved, please subscribe, hit the like, and sound off in the comment section. BLX has a Patreon, and if you'd like to join us on this journey of raising funds to pay Black and Brown educators, please join. Membership is $10 a month, and things happen over there that don't happen here on YouTube or on our IG page. Let's get started on today's lesson. Title holders, 1970, humble beginnings. Opened in the 1960s, the Gold Coast Show Lounge was a leather bar for gay men. In 1970, the first Mr. Gold Coast contest was held and became the bar's best promotion. And why wouldn't it be? A bar title, a hot gay men hanging out at the bar, dancing on the bar, flirting and talking up to folks who were drinking. The bar's best promotion. It was a win-win solution. The contest became so successful that in 1979, the competition moved to a larger spot and was renamed International Mr. Leather, a contest where hot gay guys would come from near and far, representing leather bars and clubs to hopefully win cash and a motorcycle. International Mr. Leather, IML, is considered the granddaddy of all leather contests. It is the oldest and continuous running international contest. And you can't have all that leather without having someone to treat it. In 1993, the International Boot Black was added to the contest as a competition open to men and women. Yes, although you might not hear about it as much or read about it, women have always been a part of the leather community, albeit in gay men's spaces. Give thanks to our foremothers who did the work to carve out room for us, which came with its own problems. In 1998, 5 years after the inception, the Boot Black competition split into International Boot Black, run by IML, and the International Miss Boot Black, which would be run by IMSL, International Miss Boot Black. But why ask? Gay men didn't want their boots and or their leather gear blacked by women, as they were not attracted to them. And being a woman and competing in gay male spaces was a disadvantage. So it came to pass competing in International Mr. Boot Black was only open to people who presented as male, which, if you know, comes with its own problems. Some leather bars, like the Ramrod and the Eagle here in New York, would have boot black stands, where while smoking a cigar and sipping some whiskey, you can have a hot boot black do their magic on your leather. And not just your boots, but chaps and vests. Boot blacks provide a service to the whole community, and they are good at knowing how to rub. Chapter 2, Women Making a Way, 1970s through the 80s. 1976 in San Francisco, Dykes on Bikes, a motorcycle club founded by Sony Wolf, a lesbian and U.S. Air Force Vietnam-era veteran. Dykes on Bikes led the first San Francisco Gay Freedom Day Parade. Likewise, activist Cynthia Slater was fighting to have women gain access to leather spaces. She was successful in women gaining access to the famous Catacombs, a fisting club that was mainly a gay men's club. She was also an advocate for safe SM practices. The Society of Janus is the second oldest BDSM club in North America. The society provided a space for women to practice and gain safe BDSM education within the majority of the gay male spaces that were already present within kink and fetish communities. In 1978, CIMOS was formed, a lesbian feminist BDSM organization started by Patrick Khalifa, who has roots within the lesbian community, along with Gail Rubin, and 16 others. It was the first of its kind in San Francisco. The Eulenspiegel Society here in New York, founded in 1971 by Pat Bond and Terry Cole, a support group for masochists and later sadists, preceded the Society of Janus. Also here in New York, Lesbian Sex Mafia, LSM, was founded in 1981 by Joe Arno and Dorothy Allison. The group is for bisexual women, lesbians, intersex, transgender women, and transgender men who were assigned female. LSM is the oldest continuously run group in North America, providing education for women interested in learning BDSM practices. 3. Leather and the AIDS Epidemic, 1983. The HIV/AIDS epidemic ravished the leather community. The leather women stepped up to care for our brothers, and title holders answered the call, becoming advocates for the leather kink community. They used their titles and their platform to raise money. They were teachers of safe, sane, and consensual SM kinksters, and BDSM players became active in fighting for GLBT rights and fighting for AIDS research. The GLBT vanilla community attacked our leather community and blamed our community for unsafe sex practices. The GLBT community was also being attacked by the mainstream society, stating the gays were getting what they deserved and that AIDS was their punishment. Throughout the 80s and 90s in San Francisco and New York, leather title holders became our ambassadors, our teachers, advocating, mobilizing, and working with other groups to shine a light by pressuring the government to assist in helping the wider GLBT community, as well as heterosexuals who had started contracting HIV to act. In San Francisco, organizers created the Folsom Street Fair to organize housing advocates and leather community members to connect to vital information to teach safer sex practices. In New York, Leather Pride Night brought together leather, kink, and BDSM groups like TESS, LSM, GMSMA, NCSF, Mass Metro to raise money for charities focused on assisting our community. I want to make a few points before I wrap this up. Up until 1970, the gay liberation movement centered on gay men, mainly white gay men. After the pandemic of AIDS, there was an effort to acknowledge the solidarity that lesbians played, the care of gay men, trans women, bisexual men. Lesbians advocated and petitioned Washington for the health of gay men dying of the AIDS epidemic. They donated blood when others wouldn't, caring for gay men when others would not dare to touch them, fearing the disease would be transferred to them. It was the lesbian community that cared for our gay brothers, so much so that gay men had to acknowledge the work these women did for them. And the L became the first letter in what we now know as the LGBT community. Women have always stepped up to champion many communities. So here is some information from the CDC. Black women account for the largest share of new HIV diagnosed among women, as well as the largest share of all women living with HIV. The rate of new diagnosis among Black women are 10 times the rate among white women and 3 times the rate of Latinas. Although new HIV diagnoses continue to occur, disproportionately among Black women, data shows a 39% decrease in new diagnosis for Black women between 2010 and 2020. More recently, though, from 2018 to 2022, new HIV diagnoses among Black women were essentially flat, decreasing by 1%. In 2022, Black women represented among 1/4 of new HIV diagnoses among all Black people. Latinas accounted for 20% of new HIV diagnosis among women. The rate of new diagnosis among Latina women is 5.5, well, that's nearly 3 times the rate among white women. In conclusion, the leather community, with its origins in gay servicemen and being sexual outlaws, along with motorcycle clubs, has faded. There's nothing underground about it anymore. Hell, when we would open back up from the most recent epidemic, the leather community was flooded with more swingers and IG doms. And there is nothing wrong with swingers or IG doms, but it brings other problems to the community. It is easier for people to be open about their interests in kink and fetish or BDSM, whether it's rope, leather, spanking, or role-playing. We have laws that prevent discrimination due to being a part of the LGBT community. Although nowadays we have to be ever vigilant to some states rolling back the work that our foreelders have done. And today, more importantly, HIV is treatable. With PrEP, it is widely advertised to gay men, but I've hardly heard or seen it advertised to women. So are leather title holders still needed in our leather LGBTQIA plus community? And if so, are they bringing awareness of issues that concern our community here at home, wherever their home may be? Are our title holders the ambassadors that they once were to our community, educating on safe BDSM kink practices, safer sex practices, as opposed to having sex or throwing sex parties? No judgment. Sex is good. But at what cost? Hi, this is Raven coming from the editing side. At this point, I say that I'm asking the assignment of gay men who are title holders. Who I am really speaking to is not just gay men that are title holders, but all title holders. With that, here's your assignment. Gay men who are title holders, will you take care of your sisters, siblings by discussing in your spaces with other men, gay or not, that Black and Hispanic women are the highest new cases of contracting HIV? Men, like women, know what kind of sex they like and what kind of sex they like to have. For everyone's protection, discussing using PrEP as to have a lower risk of contracting HIV would be great for all of us. PrEP is a medication that greatly reduces their chances of getting HIV from sex or injecting drug use. PrEP is for people without HIV who may be exposed to HIV through sex or injection drug use. Most insurance plans and state Medicare programs cover PrEP. So, you know what kind of sex you like to have. Will you have those conversations? Will our title holders rally and be, as I said, the ambassadors that they once were? Inquiring minds want to know. Anyway, your assignment, if you choose, no pressure. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do we still need title holders? I have never run for a title because you can still do the work that you need to do without a sash, without a vest. You can still do that work in your community. If you, like me, are so inclined to do that work, let me know what kind of work you want to do, what kind of work you have done, what kind of work are you willing to do, and what kind of conversations are you having in your spaces when you're around your community that could help us move forward. Until then, Sir Raven, BLX, have a good day.